Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Voice of Digital Learning. Today, I have two guest speakers, Jennifer and Jason Esther, here to discuss language in the digital age with me.
Thank you so much for having me. Well, just one example of this would be how I grew up as a Christian. I didn't really use profane language. That was always, shall we say, a no in my house. And profane language really has a negative impact and connotation towards others. And so that has really shaped my lifestyle. And it's even shaped how I've raised my kids. I hope that using better choices, using better words have led to a positive environment for my kids to grow up in, and in return has encouraged them to socialize more with me as a parent. And also, I hope it has helped their cognitive growth.
That's actually a perfect example of Vygotsky's theory of cognitive development, where it shares that cognitive development is shaped by interactions with others, usually with the adults. With the presence of screens and digital media, children have been socializing less with a more knowledgeable other during a very significant stage of cognitive development, which actually, my teacher, Miss McKelvey, has shared a great example of this where her freshman class, instead of socializing with their peers around them, they choose to be on their phone, even when the teacher gives them permission to talk to each other. Isn't that crazy? To corroborate this idea that social media reduces interactions, a text, The Effects of Excessive Screen Time on Child Development, an updated review and strategies for management, published in 2023 by the National Institutes of Health, shares that this limitation to social interactions may actually impact language development negatively. Similarly, the likelihood for obesity, sleep disorders, and mental health conditions increases. Jason, how do you use language differently in your life?
It's a good question. I use it different in a lot of different places. So, for instance, like with you or with family, yeah, it's very casual. If we're texting, it's we're using abbreviations. But when I'm at work and I'm dealing with different clients, I want them to know that I'm professional, and so I keep everything on a professional level. Even with text, I address it to their name. Chat professionally, no abbreviations. I sign it my name, even on a text message, not even an email. Emails I get even a little more formal, but at least in the initial conversations, until I can tell if they're more relaxed type of people, then I'll go a little more casual. So it's that code switching that we talked about, where you really just change up how you're doing it to, you know, show a different image of yourself, a professional image. They're hiring me, so they want to know that I'm professional and can do the job. But also, I'm not a professional with family. I'm relatable. It's like we're literally related. So we keep it much easier there. And same with friends. A lot of slang with friends. Probably more from my era than yours, but what up, G? Things like that. So yeah. So that's how I use language differently.
In my personal experience, technology has actually helped me to socialize with some of my friends. For instance, there were some transfer students from Peru and in my gym class, and we all wanted to play soccer together, and usually I wouldn't have been able to talk to them at all because my Spanish skills aren't great. But with Google Translate, they came up to me and asked me if I wanted to play some soccer, and we actually exchanged phone numbers, and we got to talk a lot, and turns out we had a lot in common. So I helped him learn some English and help him learn cognitively more stuff about English, and he in return helped me learn some Spanish. And now technology is even giving me the opportunity to learn more Spanish through apps such as Duolingo. So I think that's pretty awesome. How about you? Have you had any similar experiences, Jason?
Yeah, actually, with pretty much the same Google Translate app, I had some clients that were wanting to buy a house, and they were from Ukraine. Their English was really broken. It was. They could get by. They could read better than they could speak it. And of course, I don't know any Ukraine, and so I use Google Translate a lot with them, and it really helped as we were touring houses, and also just on emails. It was fantastic because they could write an email in their native language, translate it over to me, and I could read it perfect, and vice versa. So yeah, that's a great app, and it really helps us to really connect with more diverse population thanks to this technology.
Awesome. Thank you. While I do agree that the advancements of technology are outstanding, having such easy access to answers and everything that you need to cheat on your homework is insane. Simply scanning the question on an app and it gives you the answer, who wouldn't take that temptation? Easier access to dictionaries may be nice, but this only allows us to temporarily memorize the definition of a word that we likely won't use again. Repetition has been seen to help with memorization, and when you're constantly texting using slang and abbreviations of our words, our vocabulary and spelling capabilities are rapidly declining. With the presence of autocorrect, we're not inclined to have to spell words correctly online, so when students switch from texting to writing essays, personally, I believe that there's an increase in spelling errors. Well, Jennifer and Jason, thank you so much for tuning in with me on this podcast. I encourage all of you listeners to think about how language in the digital age has impacted your social identity. Maybe you will learn something about yourself you didn't notice before. Until next time, goodbye, everyone.